Taiwan and Israel are standing on the front line to defend the expansion of authoritarian regime, the expansion of totalitarianism, and also the terrorism. When those axes of upheavals, Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, are increasing its alignment.
Is China, communist China, the most dangerous nation on the planet? Is communist Chinese leader Xi Jinping, the bloodthirsty totalitarian in Beijing, is he the most dangerous man on the planet? He is certainly threatening to take over the Pacific. He wants the Pacific. He wants the United States to be marginalized. He wants, Xi Jinping wants communist China to dominate the Pacific, and he wants the democratic island of Taiwan for himself. Good evening and welcome to the Rosenberg Report. We have been covering a lot of threats from a lot of angles over the last, since the show began several years ago, right? We have covered the Iran nuclear threat and Israel's dramatic and the United States' dramatic response to destroying, to neutralizing Iran's nuclear threat earlier this year, bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. We've been talking to you about the threat posed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, whom I call the war criminal of the Kremlin. This is a man who's not talking about invading countries. He is invading countries. And of course, we were just in Ukraine seeing the damage, the destruction, and the deaths of Ukrainian civilians, not just soldiers, but civilians, men, women, and children, because of direct bombings by Russian ballistic missiles and suicide drones. Suicide drones built where? In Iran. And of course, we had that exclusive and fascinating conversation, sit-down interview in the Situation Room in the presidential compound with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. But as big as the Russia threat is, and it is real, and as big as the Iranian threat is, it is real. But I'm not spending enough time on this program. I will tell you that. I will confess to you, enough time on the show on the communist China threat. You know, I wrote a novel earlier this year, The Beijing Betrayal, about the possibility of communist China setting into motion a plan to invade Taiwan, not in years, not in months, but in days, in hours. That was fiction, thank God. And at the same time, communist China unleashed in the book, in The Beijing Betrayal, not in real life, thank God, not yet, communist China unleashed through terrorist agents a horrific and very, very deadly biological toxin to kill millions of Americans and try to paralyze the United States from responding when Beijing invades Taiwan. That was fiction. That was a novel, and we've talked about it on the show, but we're not talking about it enough because, not the novel so much, but the reality. And I want to talk more about it today. And joining me here in the studio to give me an expert perspective from the perspective of the government of Taiwan is Taiwan's ambassador to Israel, Ya-Ping Lee. Ambassador Lee, thank you so much for coming on the Rosenberg Report for the first time. It's really an honor to have you here in Jerusalem and here in our studios.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. Look, this is not theory, and even though I wrote a novel, it's not. Thank God, so far it's fiction. I mean, in other words, communist China hasn't made a move on you guys, but would you explain to me, explain to our audience, how serious is this threat? Is it an existential threat to you, to your government, to your people? Because I don't think most Christians are focusing on the China threat to Taiwan, to American interests and other allies in the Pacific, the way they've been focusing on Ukraine, let's say, or on Iran, or just troubles at home.
Taiwan has been living under the Chinese threat for decades. It's not a news for us. We have our first presidential election in 1996. We are the young democracy. After living under 37 martial law, we don't have any political freedom. But finally, we have the first time the direct presidential election for people to elect our own leaders. China responded with firing missiles. And certainly, it has been intensifying the military pressure on Taiwan, and also through the hybrid tools, including military means, diplomatic isolations, economic coercion, disinformation, campaign, and also the cyber attack. We can feel the sense of urgency, but we don't take peace for granted. We don't take the status quo for granted. We really take our national defense seriously. For instance, our president just announced that we are going to increase our national defense budget to 3.3% of our GDP, and we're going to reach 5% by 2030 to increase our national defense capabilities, to localize and to develop our indigenous national defense.
This is a big development because you guys have been spending about 2.4% of your gross domestic product. Now, admittedly, Taiwan's GDP is big, but 2.4%, according to President Trump, wasn't enough. He was pushing you guys to do more, saying, we'll help you, but we need to see you guys increasing your own investment. And now, as you say, the president is going up to 3.3%, on the way to 5%. That's a big deal.
Yeah, in one way, we increase our national defense budget to procure the articles with defensive natures. In the other way, we also increase the whole of society defense resilience initiative, which meaning that we're going to re-intensify our civil defense and to strengthening our societal resilience by increase our communication resilience, energy resilience, and to review our critical stockpile of emergency, including medical goods, energy, and also to strengthening our infrastructure, cyber resilience. Overall, what we are doing is to increase our deterrence, to stop military action or conflict from happening in this part of the world.
What's the time frame that you guys fear, okay, and what or assess? Because there have been some experts that have said that even people inside the Chinese military, inside Chinese intelligence, are speaking internally within Beijing about 2027 being a date by which Xi Jinping wants to be ready to invade. Is that, first of all, is that number real? And second of all, do you fear that it could actually be sooner than that? Help us understand, help my audience understand just how imminent is this threat of a massive Chinese invasion.
When we talk about timelines, it involves capability and intention. And what we have been doing is to deter a conflict from happening. Our strategy is to make Xi Jinping believe not today, whether it's 2027, earlier, or even beyond. We believe that we have to complicate his calculation to make him not to believe he can conquer Taiwan at a very low cost. By doing so, we have to increase our national defense capabilities, to maintain our societal coherence, and to increase our security, our strategic partnership with America, with like-minded countries and friends. Not only to complicate Xi Jinping's calculation, we also need to influence its calculation. Xi Jinping realized that Taiwanese people has a resolve to defend our own country. And he also knows that if any war triggered between Taiwan and China, there will be a serious repercussion on China's economy as well. According to a lot of estimates, if there is a military conflict happening between Taiwan and China, is going to trigger a loss about 10% of global GDP. That is about twice the size of the global GDP decrease during the COVID time. So China will also fall victim to this type of military contingency situation across the Taiwan Strait.
President Biden had actually very openly said he would go to war with China to defend you. In doing so, he sort of violated the historic approach that the United States has taken, which is, I think, would be called strategic ambiguity. Look, we'll probably do it. We'll probably defend Taiwan, but we're not going to tell you we're going to do it. We're going to defend. We're going to supply our ally with, arms and so forth. But we're not going to just be crystal clear. Biden was crystal clear. Then the White House advisors sort of walked that back. President Trump has been a little less clear. How would you describe President Trump's position, and what do you need from the United States, from the American people, to make sure that a war with China never happens? Because it seems to me, as my novel plays out, the Beijing betrayal, once that war starts, the damage, the destruction, the cost is going to be enormous. So it's a lot less expensive in life and in money to keep that war from happening.
First of all, we have to have confidence on ourselves first. We have to defend our countries. But talk about the Taiwan and U.S. relations. The bilateral relations has been very firm and continue to positively moving forward. And the relationship is guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, which withstood numerous administrations, and it is a bipartisan support in the both aisles in the Congress, and supporting Taiwan and strengthening the relationship with Taiwan is a bipartisan consensus in the United States. We are very grateful of that. And we also have many good friends in the Trump administration, and we continue to see the substantial support and help from the current administration. And last week, we are very happy to see the visit of the chair of the Armed Forces Committee in the Senate, and also the Senator of Deb Fisher, Senator Roger Wicker visit Taiwan before they're going to move on the review of the next phase of National Defense Authorization Act, which is a very important initiative to provide legal foundation for U.S. Security support and assistance on Taiwan.
Over the course of the summer, I was in Washington, did an exclusive interview with Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He had done a phone call with President Lai earlier this year, and he is very strongly supportive of the U.S.-Taiwan relationship, and very worried and very openly cautioning his colleagues that Beijing poses a very serious threat, not just to Taiwan, but to the United States and our national interests.
Yeah, Taiwan and U.S. relationship is important to each other. Taiwan manufactures about 60% semiconductor chips, 95% high-end chips, and almost 100% AI chips.
Wow.
These chips are empowering the next generation of AI development and the U.S. inspiration for reindustrialization. So we are playing a very key role in the next modern technology. And we also benefit from U.S. R&D, the innovation. For instance, TSMC, the ecosystem is well integrated with the United States, and TSMC just make 165 billion US dollars investment commitment in Arizona state. This is the largest foreign investment in the greenfield in the United States history. You see, Taiwan is a relatively small country, can invest so much money in United States, not only showcase and demonstrate how important our partnership and the relationship is, but also demonstrate how close our ecosystem is integrated.
Is there anything else that you and your president hope for, would like to see President Trump say or do to strengthen that relationship any further?
We are very pleased to see the steadfast support, the rock solid support from the U.S. administration. We appreciate this long-term friendship, and we'll continue to broaden and deepen our cooperation with the United States.
Okay, let's turn to this question of Taiwan-Israel relations. Now, they have existed for a long time, but as I mentioned earlier, Israel sort of leaned heavily towards wanting really good business, economic relations with Beijing, right? That's a huge market, huge technology power, and Israel felt it could sell a lot, make a lot of money, do business with Beijing. Describe that change.
Historically, Taiwan and Israel enjoy a very positive, friendly, cooperative relations. For the past 3 decades, we signed 34 government-to-government agreements to advance our mutual beneficial cooperations on the areas including education, public health, science, and investment. A lot of people in Taiwan feel that actually there are a lot of similarities shared by two countries and peoples. Two countries keep thriving under threat.
Yes.
Two countries have very little natural resource. What we can depend on is human capital. So we pay a lot of attention on education. But two countries are also a little bit different in terms of economic structures. Taiwan play a leadership role in manufacturing, the hardware, and Israel is very strong in R&D, the software. So we are complementary to each other. And if we can work together, we can create synergies that beyond our imaginations. So in the business and the technology sectors, a lot of cooperations between two sides. And of course, after October 7th, Taiwan was among the first to express our solidarity with the state of Israel and also the people here. We know that Taiwan and Israel are standing on the front line to defend the expansion of authoritarian regime, the expansion of totalism, and also the terrorism. When those axes of upheavals, Russia, Iran, China, North Korea are increasing its alignment. We see China import a lot of components and weapons to rivals in Middle East, to Iran, and purchase almost all the black market oil from Iran to sustain.
China's pumping billions and billions and billions of dollars into Iran as well as into Russia by buying black market oil.
Yeah, without the Chinese assistance, the lifeline of Iran will collapse earlier. We see those countries are increasing its alignment to circumvent the sanctions from the West. We know while they are helping each other, our democracies, we also need to stand in solidarity to united together to defend the expansion of authoritarian regime. And we are very grateful to see that more and more Israeli friends show the strong interest to pursue a closer and warmer relationship with Taiwan. They see Taiwan are our warm marriage. We are no longer the appendix of China. We want to have a positive, constructive relationship that is beneficial to both countries and people based on the mutual respect.
For a long time, Communist China and Israel had good working relations. Obviously, they have very different governments. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Communist China is communist, right? But China is an economic behemoth, right? It's a huge, huge player in the world. And Israel, being a high-tech superpower, not just in the Middle East, but in the world, wanted to do business in China. And they were doing a lot of business. And so Israel was always cautious. They wanted a relationship with Taiwan. There's a lot of shared values and similarities, as the ambassador pointed out in the last segment. But Israel was cautious not to be too pro-Taiwan in case that would enrage or complicate the relationship between Beijing and Jerusalem, okay? But on October 7th, everything changed. In the days and weeks that followed, Communist China came out hard against Israel, hard for the Palestinian terrorists known as Hamas. And then as Iran continued to unleash attacks from 6 other fronts against Israel in the days and weeks that followed, Communist China went hard in for Iran. Why? Because Iran is China's ally. Iran is selling enormous amounts of black market oil cheaply to Communist China. China's buying it to fuel its own economy, but also it is funding the terrorism and the nuclear fantasies of the Iranian regime. This is a problem. It's a problem, and Israel has realized, I would say, in the last year and a half or so, that it does not have a friend, much less a partner, in Beijing. And so I want to turn back to Ambassador Ya-Ping Lee from Taiwan. How has this changed? I mean, because it's a huge change. Israel can see this change, and Israel doesn't want a bad relationship with Communist China, but it has one. Mm-hmm. And so are there any practical ways that you've seen over the last year and a half, or almost 2 years now, that the relationship with Taiwan and Israel has improved or deepened?
It is really worrisome to see that the CCP, the Communist China government, they are testing their weaponries in the European theater, in the Middle East theater. This once again reflects our statement that China's strategic ambition is not just stop with Taiwan.
Right.
Its strategic ambition is beyond Taiwan. is the ultimate goal for communist China is to disrupt the current rules-based international orders, which serves all the humanity and also the progress of humanities. And they also want to force us into its political system. And this type of ambitions is getting more and more obvious for a lot of countries, not only including Israel. And talking about the Taiwan and Israel relations, we know that in the future AI era, we need partners that is trustworthy, that is reliable. Especially we know those modern technology, they not only empower everything, but they also connect to our personal data or personal informations. So we are always looking for the trustworthy partners to work together to increase our prosperity and our key role in the modern technology. And Taiwan and Israel are replaceable, indispensable role in this part of modern technology, and I will have a very positive view of our future relations. We will find a way to navigate the complicated geopolitical environment, but also find a way to work together and to prosper together.
Has an Israeli prime minister or president ever come to visit Taiwan?
Not yet.
Not yet? Is there any discussions that might happen?
So far not.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's because of this sensitivity, right? Israel and Taiwan want a very close relationship, a partnership, as you say, but they also, Israel still has to watch and try not to completely infuriate Beijing.
Yeah, hospitality is important part of our culture. We always welcome friends to visit us, and also we would like to remind our friends that we don't let China to dictate where we should go or who we should meet.
Yeah. Well, I am not an official person here in Israel, and I would love to come. I've never been to Taiwan, and I would love to come and see your country, see its prosperity, see its military preparations. You describe your strategy as the hedgehog or the porcupine strategy, right? That you try to put all your defenses up so that the enemy can't eat you up. I'd also love to come and meet your leadership and interview them. But let's do that hopefully in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for coming here. You're already here in Israel, so it's really an honor and a joy to get to know you and to hear your perspective. And we are praying for peace in the Pacific, and particularly the protection of Taiwan.
Yeah. And thank you for fostering your audience understanding of Taiwan. And also thank you for standing with Taiwan. And we would love to have you and your team to visit Taiwan, not only to taste our world famous cuisine, seeing our beautiful scenery, but meet with those freedom-loving, resilient people.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. It's amazing how big a deal this is. The Communist China threat is so big. And as the ambassador pointed out, it's not just to Taiwan. It definitely is. I mean, she's honest about how serious a threat Communist China poses to Taiwan and how many military exercises are constantly being done to threaten, to terrify, to terrorize the people of Taiwan. But the people of Taiwan are resilient, they're strong, they're brave, and they will not go down quietly. They don't want to go down at all, and they're working on strengthening the U.S.-Taiwan relationship, the relationship between Taiwan and all the other American and Asian allies, South Korea, obviously the Philippines and Japan and Singapore and so forth, Australia. So these relationships are important because we cannot allow Xi Jinping to take over any country, least of all one as strategic as Taiwan, because if the United States doesn't protect all of our allies in the Pacific, then it's open season. Then the United States will very rapidly lose the trust, the confidence of all of our allies, and then we will lose dominance in the Pacific. And that is an open season for Communist China to try to take over the sea lanes, the commerce lanes, and the security of the Pacific. This is a worst case scenario. It's a scenario I wrote about in the Beijing betrayal, but this is not fiction. This is real, and it's a story that you need to understand. It's a story that we need to keep covering here on the Rosenberg Report. Yes, I focus mostly on Israel and what's happening in the Arab Muslim world and in Iran, but we're also covering what is happening, the major threats in the world, including Russia, Ukraine, Communist China, and Taiwan and others as well.